We met in the emergency room of our own mistakes. You were stitching up your childhood, I was digging up my graves. And some part of me thought, maybe two broken people make a whole. They don't. They just bleed on each other and call it love. Told me about your father on the second date, how he never said I love you, just pointed at his plate. I told you about my mother and the bottle in her purse, how I learned to be a ghost before I learned to write a verse. We thought that sharing scars was the same as building trust, but we just traded bandages and both of us turned to rust. I held you when you cried about the years you can't get back. You held me when I shook from the panic attacks. But holding isn't healing, it's just leaning on the crack. We love like surgeons who forgot to wash their hands. Every touch reopened something we didn't understand. I wanted you to save me, you wanted me to stay, but we were both just drowning people, pulling each other's weight. Bleeding hearts, that's all we ever were. Two open wounds pretending that it didn't hurt. You kissed my forehead, I lie and say I'm fine. We built a house of tourniquets and called it a design. Bleeding hearts don't stop, they just change where they pour. You gave me your last suture, I gave you my last war, and now we're standing in the ruins with nothing left to give. Bleeding hearts, baby, we never learned to live. We just learned to survive. The fight started small, a dish left in the sink, then turned into a cannonball of things we didn't think. You said you're just like him, meaning your dad, meaning cold. I said you're just like her, meaning my mom, meaning soul. To a bottle, to a silence, to a version of ourselves that lives behind the armor on a high and lonely shelf. We screamed until the morning, then we cried until the noon, then we made up in the evening like a bad cartoon. But the bruises weren't on our skin, they were on something worse. We convinced ourselves that passion was the same as a curse. Remember New Year's Eve, you smashed a plate against the wall. I didn't flinch, that's the saddest part of all. I was used to breaking things, you were used to being broke. So bleeding hearts reciting the same awful joke. Bleeding hearts, that's all we ever were. Two open wounds pretending that it didn't hurt. You kissed my forehead, I lie and say I'm fine. We built a house of tourniquets and called it a design. Bleeding hearts don't stop, they just change where they pour. You gave me your last suture, I gave you my last war, and now we're standing in the ruins with nothing left to give. Bleeding hearts, baby, we never learned to live. We just learned to survive. Cruelest part isn't that we failed, it's that we tried so hard we mistook pain for the holy grail. I bleed for you, that's not a love song, that's a cry for help. We were two drowning people who blamed each other for the kelp. I wanted you to fix me, but I also loved to break, because broken felt familiar, whole felt like a fake. And maybe that's the truth of every bleeding heart affair. We don't fall in love with people, we fall in love with the repair. The chance to be someone's reason to wake up, even if that reason was a bandage on a gut punch. I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at both of us for staying long after the bleeding turned into a way of life. Not a phase, not a phase, not a phase, not a phase, not a at a gas station after 5. You look lighter, not happy, but alive. You said I'm seeing someone new, he doesn't have my past. I said that's good, and for the first time it wasn't a lie that passed through clenched teeth. You asked if I was okay, I said bleeding less, I guess. You laughed the old way, we didn't hug, we just nodded. Two ghosts polite and strange, bleeding hearts don't end, they just finally arrange. A gentle distance, a scar instead of a wound. Maybe that's what healing looks like under a bruised moon. I don't miss you the way I used to. I miss the idea that two broken people could make a whole. They can't, but they can learn to bleed slower. And maybe that's enough.